G'day fellas, and welcome to something a little bit different. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at one of the best 3v3 teams in the world, if you could say that. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, obviously, there's not a lot of 3v3 tournaments going at the moment, so we don't really have much to measure it by. But what we're going to be taking a look at is three of the players who are very high ranked in 3v3, and trying to break down their strategy, see exactly what they get up to. Now, this is a water map, and obviously you guys will know in ranked queue, or in a quick match rather, there are quite a few water maps. So I figured it was a good idea to jump in, have a look and see how they play it. Now, we'll introduce our players just so that you guys can become familiar with them if you want to search them, maybe get an idea of what they like to do. So our first player playing in the red, it's going to be Jinmo. He's on the French. A little bit further down, playing as the Abbasid, we've got Victo. He's going to be in the color pink. And then finally, in the color green, we've got Cyril, who's going to be playing the Mongols. Now, this isn't Cyril, this is Cyril, which is Cyril's cousin. Kind of like you've got Marine Lord and you've got Moraine Lord. You've got Vortex and then you've got Vertex. Well, we've got Cyril and we've got Cyril. So there you go. Now, over on the other side, we've got another team. So we'll take a look at them. So we've got our first player. He's a French individual. We've got our second player. He's a Holy Roman Empire player. And then finally, our third, which is also an Abbasid. So a little bit of a mirror here, the only difference being the Mongol / Holy Roman Empire player. Now, the map that we're playing on, Nagari, it's all about these ponds on the outside. The pond in the center is where all of the action's going to happen. We can see that our French player is already opening up with some water. So we're going to ride on board with our team from the north and try and understand a little bit about how they play. And already we can see some aggression coming out from Cyril. So it's going to be an early barrack. So even in these 3v3s, we see similarities to those 1v1 environments where players look to try and put the pressure on early. Now behind this, we've got Victo as well as Jinmo that are doing a bit of a boom. So I don't know about you guys, but I can already see a little bit of a story as to how this game may go. Now, interestingly for Cyril, he's yet to really scout out his enemy. Doesn't know where the enemy's at. You can see that the spearmen are just chilling out idle for the moment. So we'll look to see how he plays it. We'll look to see what he gets up to and where he looks to attack. But it's highly likely that first target is going to be that French player. He may look to hit gold mines. The other option is obviously the Holy Roman Empire player. There's plenty of potential options for him to hit, but take a look at the gold back here. Jeez. You can sit a tower right in the middle where the wolf's chilling out. Block out every single one of these gold mines. Nice little spot. Well, the spearmen are on the way. With that, a villager comes as well. We'll check the line of sight and get an idea of where our heroes on the north are going to be moving or expanding out. We'll tune back in over on this north side and see exactly how many fishing boats we've got out. So we've got 4 out for these guys. Now, by the same token, it looks like only one player is looking to expand onto water, which is very interesting. Now, just to give you guys a little bit of I guess my perspective on things is I would honestly expect in a team game like this, every single person would be going on water. Water's just so good. You get your ROI on water is insanely fast. You know, I'm talking like 100% back within the first 5 minutes. Easy. So if you can guarantee water, you just see a crazy ROI on it. But little bit of walls coming in. It looks like we've got some quick walling coming in from our orange player. So trying to defend his position on the south side. Now, Nagari is a map that is quite notorious for the amount of walls that you can get up, just simply because you've got a very short distance between the central cliff face or the central little area and the edge of the map. It's very easy to get walls up there. So the action continues, aggression being applied to the dock. Now that's a key factor here because we were talking about it a bit earlier. Ideally what you want is you want everybody on water. Now we've got a pretty smart move here from Cyril in that he said, well, I'm going to put out early pressure, but then he's going to take water behind it. So this is exactly the right move. And, you know, obviously we've seen his two teammates that are both going for water as well. So they're booming. They're doing the biggest boom possible in the Dark Age, which is the right way to play it. Abbasid player yet to age up, has a couple villagers here on gold. We'll check out the French player and see how he's doing. Going to be doing much of the same. Still plenty of villagers on wood back here. And we do see a wheelbarrow coming through for him now. So very committed to this Dark Age play. And I think that's the right move. Up on the north side, we hear those scouts fighting off. Nice, cute little micro coming in. Jinmo just doing what he does best. Going to be able to take out the first of the scouts. Second scout, not quite just yet. We do see our feudal ages starting to come in. I suspect that's going to be our Holy Roman Empire player. Indeed it is. The Archon Chapel is now up. We do see Jinmo also aging up at the same time down to the south side. We've got age ups coming through from our French player, but we're not too interested in them. Now, what's super smart about the way that these guys have played this is that Cyril's obviously used the bonuses of the Mongols on this map to be aggressive and to force out any ability for the enemy to control the central lake before they even really have a chance to defend it. Because the most common response that you'd see from players is looking to get out, you know, an outpost, or look to try and get out a junk or maybe a galley or something like that on the water. But he's just going to completely stop it. And they know that in addition to stopping all of the action down here, that there's no real other spot for them to get a dock down. So they've already achieved goal 1 in this game, which was number 1, keeping the enemy off water. It doesn't matter if you hold water. What matters is if your enemy doesn't have it. That's the big factor. And we now see age ups coming through for a fair few of these players. Our Abbasid player going to be going up with the economic wing. So he's indeed heading up in the right direction. That fishing economy continuing to expand. So now the silver tree comes up from Cyril. So Cyril's achieved objective 1, and that is stop enemy from gaining water. But we're still yet to see the enemy look to retake water, and this could be a big mistake. One of the huge factors when it comes to Age of Empires high-level team games, for anybody who doesn't know, I used to be a very high-level team game player. What does that mean exactly? By the way, that is a very early Regnitz Cathedral. 6 minutes on that bad boy. Let's take a look at Teal and see how many villas he's got on that. 10 villagers on that. Jeez Louise. He knows what he's doing, doesn't he? 6 minutes on that age up. That's pretty decent. I think that I think I was going to say the youngest. The lowest I saw for an age up was, or like the dropping of the cathedral was like a 540. I think I saw that, but that's still a pretty damn good time. He's got plenty of relics around as well. So, talking a little bit about team game. So I was quite a high-level team game player back in my youth when I used to play a lot of Age of Empires 3. I won a lot of tournaments and was considered one of the best in the world, I'll have you guys know, at team games. And that's I mean, back in those days, team games were a lot more serious than they are these days. It feels very rare that we have team game events. But nonetheless, I still like to explore the meta, understand exactly what's going on. So I guess if you're watching this and you're trying to draw something in from this, what would you be looking at? Well, I think the first thing is you have one player who's committing to aggression early and then 2 players who are booming behind it. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to happen every game. But I would expect that these guys would regularly run this composition, the Mongols, Abbasid, French combo, because it enables them to get that going. And then behind this, the Abbasid as well as the French player can then use the early aggression that the Mongols put out, use that to take some cover, try and invest in their economy, and then subsequently, they're able to then cover the Mongol player who can then build back up with the silver tree. So it's very much like a symbiotic relationship in that, you know, the 2 players are covered by the 1, and then the 2 players cover the 1. Prelate now coming in, looking to drop those relics in the Regnitz. Wall up to the north has been well and truly finished. He's just slowly but steadily... Actually, I take that back. It's not finished. He's going to be able to finish it up now. Villager under attack as well. We'll check in on this north side and see how players are doing. Whether we've got second TCs coming down, and indeed we do. Our Abbasid player being very excited about dropping down that TC. 16 villagers on that bad boy. You can see a ping coming off down on the south side. It's interesting that we can see the pings. I wouldn't have expected that we could when we're casting a game, but obviously... They want to draw attention down towards that position, but now we've got a bit of a defense up towards this north side that's going to need to happen as the Knights look to run in, and a quick wall going to be trying to come down here for Pink. He's going to pull double villagers to do it. He should be successful as the Knights not going to be able to make their way through as long as he gets that. Oh, my lord. And this is why you see players doing that quick wall. You saw it down here where the villager came along and did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just like that. Well, that's the reason why, because unfortunately, those Knights... They're going to be able to just kill those villagers if the villagers do not drop down the walls like that. So, unfortunate. Now we do see traders coming out for Cyril. He's going to be running straight into the Royal Knights here. There is a trade post up towards this northern position. So we can see that, you know, I want to focus less on the micro here and more on the macro. Talk about, you know, what is it that these guys are looking to do? What are they looking to achieve? Wallalor going to come in. Not going to be able to achieve that one. And so the big thing for me is, like, well and truly, they are just looking to maintain control of the central pond. And we can see a single Hulk coming out from Jinmo, which is all you really need. In fact, we've got a couple of demo ships out from the Abbasid player, so he's going to try and be sneaky here, moving around and looking to try and get them in. But remember, as I said, it's about focusing on the macro here. We're not looking at the cute little micro techniques that may or may not come in. Demo ships moving around. Actually, no, those are fishing boats. I got really excited thinking they were demos. They're not. They're just fishing boats. So they're literally irrelevant. So single Hulk coming out. So that's, I mean, goal number 1's been achieved, right? Control the water. But in achieving goal number 1, you've also established goal number 2, which is put out early aggression on the enemy, force them into a bit of a defensive position. That's exactly what we saw up on this north side, down towards the south side. French player was playing very, within the base. We didn't see him push out with any knights until he had 3-4 knights, a serious number. Till moving forward with a bit of a proxy. Knights, unfortunately, going to be cleaning up those traders. So the consequence of allowing these knights through, allowing them to persist, is that they're going to be able to pick up these units constantly. But we do see more traders coming out for Cyril. He's got plenty of stone in the bank as well, so if he wants to do those, get some double production out, he definitely will be able to. One of the things he should be looking to do is get a market down in this corner here. Just try and extend that trading route out a little bit longer, even though it might not seem like much. The return on investment is going to be absolutely huge for him there. So now, in the center of the map, our players, our team in the north has well and truly established themselves as the kings. So let's get a bit of an idea about how many villages difference we've got going here, just to give you guys an idea of how big we're talking it. 52 villages for player 1, 60 player 2, and 56 for player 3. Now let's compare that over to the other side, where we've got 42, 38, and 35. There's a significant difference between the economies for these guys already. And the consequence is, in these team games, where sometimes you can be a little bit more passive in the early game, that this really starts to build up a lot. So I guess the point that I'm trying to make is try and use that early aggression that you've got to find a way to make yourself stronger with regard to your economy. It's really what it's about. And it's the same way that Mongol plays in 1 versus 1. We see this all the time. The Mongol player comes in for a tower rush, tries to be aggressive, manages to cause a fair bit of damage and force his opponent to overreact, and subsequently gets up to Castle Age and then looks to overwhelm the enemy in the Castle Age. But Knights back again, still picking it off. 159 gold, not a terrible amount. But look at the Knights, they just camp the trade route here. They're just going to be picking up units all day. So unfortunately for them, things not going too well. We'll ride back on board with Cyril and see how he's doing as he looks to drop down an outpost. Camels have broken through. And now on the north side, we've got more attacks coming through. But our French player, Jinmo, is going to be able to repel that. But you can start to see the forces that Jinmo is going for right now. He's going very heavy on knights. Now he has added, he has gone to the Castle Age. He's gone up with the Royal Institute. You can see it's very intent, or very intentional here, in that he's going straight for knights. And it's going to be only knights, because knights are a unit which I guess I would call it a win condition unit. So, as an example, we talk about China. Back in the day, what was China's win condition? Get to Imperial. That was it. You get to Imperial with China. As long as you're on an even footing or even just a little bit behind, you should be able to win. It's a win condition, right? What's the win condition for the French? Kill lots of villagers with your knights. But at the same time, another win condition can just be to have so many knights at any point in the game, more than your enemy, overrun them, whether you kill their forces or whether you just get into their base and just camp their production. Camp their production, kill their villagers, force them to go idle, keep rallying in more units, and that's it. That's how you win. And we can see that that's going to translate over into team games as well, because our French player, Jinmo, he is an absolute veteran when it comes to this stuff. So just a reminder, all of these guys are very high rated on the quick match ladder. Obviously, we don't have ranked yet for team games, but we will have it soon. The developers have specifically said that. Now Mangadai are going to be coming out as well for Cyril. But yeah, I mean, like, from this, the thing that I've learned most out of this game, it's just about water control. And I think a big part of this is not contesting the water as well. The entire time you've been sitting out here, how many fishing boats are out here, just to get an idea? So if we take a look at the fishing boats for Cyril, he's got 25. Victor is sitting on 17. And Jinmo is sitting on 30. So you've got more than 70 rather, fishing boats that are out here that are bringing in resources that are some of the best resource gathering units in the game. Once they get all these upgrades, upgrades through, you can see drift nets coming through now for Jinmo, or rather for Victor. Jinmo yet to research it. We'll take a look and see whether we've got it on the other side. No, we don't just yet. But once you've got all of these upgrades through, it makes it incredibly efficient to have these. And the fact that your enemy is just allowing you to have it, when the reality is there's really not much preventing you from trying to get back on there, it's kind of sad. And now they're using it to really leverage their land economy or land military. They're putting all that food into what was, what was once a very minimal amount of units, and now they're pushing out a huge amount of units. So we'll take a look and see how Jinmo's doing as Royal Bloodlines is coming through up on this north side. One of the things to note is that players are not necessarily playing, you know, all units on one side. It's a bit more scrambled. But we do have a 2v2 on the south side. This is something that happens quite often in team games where you've got a split central point, which is exactly what we've got here. So we've got a bit of a split in that, you know, 2 players will fight on the south and then 1 player will 1v1 another player up to the north. And just remember, we've got 3 players that have all got access to water, whereas the other 3 don't. And so it makes it very, very hard for those 3 on the south side to really contest this, just simply because their economies are going to be so much further behind. Knights running through, though. Mangudai looking to try and hold on. It's just going to be men-at-arms trying their best to take it down. We don't see any veterancy coming through yet for the Mangudai, despite the age 3. Obviously, the castle age is through. Knights going to be landing on this gold mine. An absolute gold mine they've found. Look at that, just one-shotting those villagers. Beautiful job right there. Villagers all drop off at the same time, but unfortunately, oh, things not looking good for Cyril. I wonder if Cyril would have seen this. Well, definitely seems like Cyril didn't. But at the same time, we've got a bit of a counter-attack. Jinmo over in the base of the Abbasid player. We'll double check back over here. Well, it looks like the camels have found it. Victo spotted it, and you can see he's calling out defense, defense. Unfortunately, the only defense Cyril's got is to scream and cry a little bit. Camel archers coming out in strong numbers, but now at the same time, I mean, Jinmo's just looking to overrun the opposition at this point. Plenty of knights down on that side of the map, and we can see the forces from Pink slowly but steadily improving or increasing. Camel archers looking decent. It's got nice upgrades on these bad boys as well. Veterancy is through. Should be more than enough to one-shot those men-at-arms, or might not be, just a little bit less than the one-shot amount. But now those knights going to be coming in. And this is the win condition I was talking about when it comes to French knights, and what makes it so difficult to deal with. Because if you don't have an immediate response here, then they're just going to camp your villages. And they can do that. They can afford to do that because they barely take any damage. With +2 ranged armor and no +1 on the... No +1 attack on the town center. These guys are taking 2 damage an arrow. That's 30 health. These guys have got 310 health. You need to take 10 volleys of a town center to actually kill a single knight. How long does it take to do 10 volleys worth? That's a lot. That's an awful lot. But one thing to note, we do have a lot of relics in the bag here for our Holy Roman Empire player on the other side. I don't think it's going to be nearly enough, though. Unfortunately for him, things not looking the best. Knights making their way through, cleaning up more villages. He's returned out to the farms. I remember the knights behind this. You know, it's about what's happening behind this. So the French player has idled the economy of the Holy Roman Empire player, but behind this, he just makes more knights. And that's really what it's all about. Monastery coming up for him. More units on the south side going to be pushing in. And the knights have now caused his enemy to come back, or rather his opponents to come back and fight. So, you know, in a perfect world, the Abbasid player would have been able to deal with the French knights. But obviously the economy for the French player is absolute powerhousing right now, so he can't do it. So subsequently, the Abbasid player has to call for help. He has to call for help from the blue player. He has to call for help from the teal player, who is also under attack. And as a result, now over on that western side, that opens up a position for the other 2 players to begin moving in. We can see their forces are quite significant. I wouldn't be surprised to see improved siege engineering coming out from these guys. Let's take a look and see what we've got from Cyril. It doesn't look like he's picked it up just yet. You can see the blacksmith here. Yeah, improved siege engineering not coming through just yet. So a little bit of I would say, not a lapse, but you'd like to see it coming out a bit sooner. He's got 450 stone in the bank. So more than enough. But definitely, I think the star of the show here goes over to Jinmo in the north of the map. And this is what I talk about when I talk about a win condition. You know, you can get China to Imperial and then build a wonder. You can take the sacred sites. Or you can just play French and run knights through your enemy space, and there's literally nothing they can do about it. Now, obviously, you know, they can do stuff. They can wall off and all that. But the reality is that knights only lose to spearmen and crossbows in a straight-up fight. That's it. But guess what? They're faster than both of those units. So they just run away. Now, camels, I guess, are also a reasonable response. But unless you really want to just be sitting here microing these bad boys non-stop all day, it's going to be really hard. So the camels have made their way over towards this position. Sacred site timer has started on the countdown. We can see both sacred sites have been taken by our green player. At least, no, one of them was taken by the green player. It just looks green on the minimap. I think because if we change to red, I don't know how it works. But obviously we can see that the team in the north has got control of the sacred sites. Player number one is going to tap out on the enemy side. There's just too many units in the base. And so what do we learn from this with player number two going down? What we've learned from this is you can't let your enemy have the water. You can't just let them have it. You have to contest it. And it starts at the Dark Age. And you can see the power of the Mongol pick in this game has really enabled them to just use that as a bonus, or just use that to get ahead a significant amount, and that is snowballed the entire game. And with the final player tapping out, fellas, I'm going to leave a link in the description to where you can catch these guys. It's AoE4 World. Make sure you check them out. Have a look for them. If you're playing 3v3s, there's plenty of games in there that you can be watching and try and learn. Anyway, it's been a different type of video. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.